So good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this first info sessions regarding the EU investment missions to Guyana. Some of you may recall we had a previous mission last year with a good amount of success for the EU businesses. So today, although we will mention the two missions, we will focus on the first one, which will be the health and pharma missions. And Flavie, first, the floor for you to give us the welcome, and then we will go to the ambassador.
Yes, thank you very much, Diana, Mr. Ambassador, and dear colleagues from the delegation and the trade promotion agencies. I'm the new Secretary General of Trade Promotion Europe. And I would like to thank you at the delegation for inviting us to this important session on trade mission to Guyana under Global Gateway. And we really deeply appreciate the opportunity to be part of this program. And so thank you from also to my colleague who are joining. We should have AWEX and FIAB from Spain. So AWEX from Belgium and FIAB from Spain. I don't know if they have been able to join or if they are still waiting to join the call, Diana.
I'm here from FIAP.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
And I think JTIA from Germany is also.
Okay, very good. And so I would like to extend our apologies on behalf of the members who have not been able to attend due to other commitments. But nevertheless, rest assured that we will be sharing the valuable information that will be shared today. It will be relayed to our members, and thank you for recording, because that will be easy then to circulate the information to the network. And I see that our colleague from AWEX, Roma, has just joined. Yes. So just a very quick word about Trade Promotion Europe. So we are the Association of European Trade Promotion Organizations and Agri-Food Promotion Organizations. The mission of TPE is to empower EU trade promotion organizations to optimize internationalization support to their companies, and also by engaging as one voice with the European Commission, EU institutions, stakeholders, and by facilitating collaboration between our members. Currently, we have 32 members across 21 EU member states, plus Switzerland, the UK, and Ukraine. And our ambition is to grow to cover all trade promotion organization across the EU. And so, we have set up working groups, in particular one on Global Gateway. So we are very, very interested and grateful to be invited to this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Flavie. Now I give the floor to Ambassador René Van Ness, as Ambassador of the European Union to Guyana and Suriname. So, Ambassador, the floor is yours.
Many thanks, Diana. Great to be with you here this morning. This is a good opportunity to talk about Guyana, to talk about indeed this next mission. There will be more information about Guyana, but let me just say a few words. Guyana is probably one of the most exciting countries at this moment. It's one of the fastest growing economies in the world, with 2 years ago a GDP growth of 65%. And that is not according to the government alone, but the IMF is corroborating that. And from there onwards, every year about 30%, and that's also the prediction for the years ahead. Of course, they come from a low level. Guyana was, together with Haiti, one of the poorest countries in the region, but they are catching up very, very quickly. All of this is oil and gas driven, but the government is making a huge effort to create other sectors. They know that oil money will dry up eventually, and so they make a very good effort in building out other sectors in agriculture, in health, in education, etc. So the first moment where we could bring in European private sector was last year in November. We had about 24 companies from, I think, 9 or 10 EU member states, and it was a very good mission. It was really highly appreciated here. And when we asked the companies, they were really very impressed by the opportunities, by the quality of their partners, and by the reception of the Guyanese authorities. So we felt we had to continue that process. We had to proceed. We had to take next steps. And what we decided is that we would not go for big general trade missions, but we would go for more tailor-made work. And so we decided to pick 2 sectors where we would have dedicated missions focusing on one sector at a time. And so the first sector that we selected is health and pharmaceuticals. And the second sector is basically timber, wood processing, furniture, if you like. So let me talk about health pharmaceuticals. Why did we come to that? Well, the reason for this goes back to the agreement that was made between the president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, the Prime Minister of Barbados, and the President of Guyana, Irfan Ali. And that was an agreement to help each other with the creation of production facilities for pharmaceuticals. The EU helped Rwanda in order to get their environment, their regulatory environment in place, so that the private sector could indeed build factories in Rwanda that produces vaccines, and this is happening. You have European manufacturers of vaccines in Rwanda at the moment, all as the result of that support that the EU gave them. And so when those 3 came together, they said, you know what, let's help each other. Can we replicate this? So there is an initiative to do something like that in Barbados. And here the government grabbed that opportunity with both hands and said, yes, EU, we want to work with you. And can we create our own regulatory environment here in such a way that we can entice European private sector to come to Guyana and to establish their own pharmaceutical production entities here. So that was the starting point. Then talking to the minister, Frank Anthony of Health, he said, well, you know, pharmaceuticals is one, but we have the ambition as Guyana to become the health hub for the whole region. And they are right now building 12 hospitals, absolutely incredible. All state-of-the-art, brand new. They're in different stages of being constructed, but that is the ambition of this government. Of course, they need a lot of support with this. They need equipment, they need technical support, they need everything that goes with it. There's already European private sector involved in this process. I think later we will see a little video where you will see some of that already. So that is the background to this, a very successful trade mission that happened in 2023, a very strong focus of this government on health and pharmaceuticals. And that's why we thought that the next mission should indeed focus on health and pharmaceuticals. And so that we want to bring maybe a smaller number of European companies, but well prepared, very focused on this particular sector. For next year, maybe March, we're looking at forestry and creating value added. As you probably know, Guyana is the second most forested country in the world, with probably something like 85% of the country covered in pristine, beautiful tropical rainforest. And the EU is by far the biggest partner in supporting the government in forest management. So we are very well placed to make sure that the products that come from the forest are harvested in the most sustainable way? And can we then use these products to actually create some value added? Can we bring European furniture makers to Guyana? Well, that is for March. We're working very closely with EU member states. I see the EU member state heads of missions accredited to Guyana every month. We have what we call a HOMS meeting, a head of mission meeting. So we have a very close link with the EU member states, as of course that is the only way forward. So we do this all under the banner of the Global Gateway, a way of thinking that really appeals to the government of Guyana, as that is also their way of developing their country in very close collaboration with the private sector. So I really count on your support to make sure that we have a good group of European private sector joining this mission, as I think it will be worth their while. And I think it's in the interest of both the EU and Guyana if there's more European private sector active in this country. So let me stop here and give the space to colleagues who will no doubt add their own views and contributions. Thank you.
Thank you. Javi, you want to put the video now before we go to Guyana Invest?
Yes, I can do that. One second.
My name is.
Okay. I think it has to load.
I'm the ambassador for the European Union.
What the fuckery is this?
To Guyana. My name is René van Ness. I'm the ambassador for the European Union to Guyana. I'm here.
Let me let this video load and we'll come back to it in a couple.
All right.
It seems
Okay.
it has to load.
So Ambassador Vanessa mentioned about the growth of Guyana, and we have a very authorized voice to speak about that from the Office of Investment of Guyana. We have Mr. John Edgill, who is the Senior Investment Director of the Office of Investment of Guyana. Mr. Edgill, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ambassador. Greetings and good morning to you, and good morning to everyone on the call. Just confirming that you're all hearing me quite fine with the audio.
Yes, we can.
Perfect. So I think Ambassador really painted a very good picture, and I want to now ask everyone who asks me to speak at any forum in Guyana to put me to speak first, because I think the speakers in Guyana are quite aware, and the ambassadors, the private sector, the government sphere is all quite aware of all of this taking place in Guyana. So you can ask sometimes even the school child, and they're able to tell you of all of the development that is taking place, and that's very indicative of the development that is taking place all across Guyana. But I'm very pleased. I was very pleased when I got the phone call and was made aware that the European Union is planning another investment mission, and of course our office was and remains very willing and able to always assist in any way, shape, and form. So that's why I'm happy to be here today to share a few comments. I want to talk about the investment climate in Guyana. And again, the ambassador did paint a very good picture. But the investment climate is one where we are very open to do business with the entire world. The president has said this, so it comes all the way from the highest level of the executive. But it's also not just statements or comments or in the news, it is enshrined in our laws. So we have an Investment Act of 2004 that actually permits and allows both foreign and local investors to be treated without any form of discrimination. So if you're coming into Guyana as a member of any of the member states of the European Union, when you come to invest in Guyana, you are treated no differently as though you were born in Guyana 20 years ago, 25 years ago, or anything of the sort. We do have local content legislation in our country, but that local content legislation is very specific towards the oil and gas sector. And I do appreciate that the European Union has done something very different to other trade missions in specifically setting out a target sector. So, indeed, what we want to be able to do is to diversify our economy. And for us to be able to diversify our economy, we do have to look at very strategic different sectors. And we have identified manufacturing, especially in the healthcare space, as a key and critical um, development that we would like to push. So we are very open and we are very amenable to these types of developments. So that's the first thing I want to say, that you coming in from any of the member states as a foreigner, you would be treated with equal rights as a Guyanese citizen. There is special carve-outs in the oil and gas sector, but of course, what we're discussing today does not govern the oil and gas sector. It governs both healthcare and pharmaceuticals as well as value-added forestry. So coming into Guyana, you're treated as a Guyanese. Secondly, Guyana remains one of the only places where foreigners could come in and own land, and it is not the case where you have a specific quantity of land you could own. So in some other Caribbean destinations, if you come in to do investment for commercial purposes, there's very there's a constrained amount of land that you can own. So these are additional incentives, and we offer additional incentives um, to incentivize businesses coming in. One of the sweeping incentives that was granted very early into the tenureship of our now president is that corporate income taxes have actually been removed from both private for private corporate medical healthcare facilities. So coming in, that is an immediate attraction, understanding that setting up a private corporate medical healthcare facility, you would be paying no corporate income tax. Of course, the regular taxes to your employees and so would have to be honored. There's no tax for private corporate medical healthcare facilities. So I just want to paint the picture, having you understand what are some of the additional incentives to invest in Guyana. But outside of just the fiscal incentives, there's a lot of development that is taking place. The ambassador talked about the 12 new hospitals that are under construction, and that's happening through the government side. But all across Guyana, there have been increased developments in the private healthcare space. So we just had in 2023 a new investment taking place in the west coast of Demerara for one of the first modern private healthcare facilities. Another facility was recently opened, again through private investment, some of them local or with partners, JVs, again in Region 3. We have now announced two private, modern, state of the art hospitals to be built in Region 6 at Palmyra. So this tells you that persons understand the market and persons are seeing the demand for these types of things. Obviously, as it is right now, we're a very small population, somewhere about 800,000 people. But we continue to attract many persons into our country. And what has now become a great opportunity and something I want all of us to pay very keen and close attention to is the medical tourism. In many parts of the world, and I can give you a very specific example of my aunt who said this to me quite recently. She said she could actually come to Guyana, do her extraction at a dental clinic and her dental surgery, and go back to the US. And it would be cheaper than doing so, having to look at her insurance policies, having to wait, and everything else. So we are now becoming a very attractive destination for medical raise some services. So understanding that we are strategically located for many of these things is very, very important. Additionally, when we look at both the healthcare space as well as the value-added forestry, we need to understand the cost of energy, and we need to understand the reliability of energy. And for many years, those have been pitfalls into the development of our country. We were never able to truly blossom the manufacturing sector as we would have liked to, because things that are essential ingredients to that are the reliability of energy and having it at a reliable and competitive cost. So as it is right now, we produce electricity at somewhere in the vicinity of 25 US cents per kilowatt hour, or sorry, 28 cents per kilowatt hour. The Latin American and Caribbean region, their average is somewhere in the vicinity of 25 cents per kilowatt hour. So we're already above the regional average of cost by some 3 cents. We anticipate that with the development of our gas to energy power plant, that will add an additional 300 megawatts of energy. And we've just put out another tender for an additional power plant right near to the current one being constructed, that we will be able to reduce the cost of our energy by 50% by the year 2025. So we are immediately making advances to be able to make any incoming business, whether you are manufacturing, looking at the forestry sector, value added forestry, or whether you're coming in to set up a plan to do pharmaceuticals, you will also be able to benefit from a reduction in the energy cost that is on its way. And I always tell investors that if you wait for the manifestations of many of these things, sometimes you will miss the curve. Because while the opportunities and the incentives are here, as we become more and more saturated and concentrated, some of the incentives might have to change. We might have to prioritize other sectors because one might become saturated. So as it is right now, we do know that we want to invite, and the president has said it, Ambassador repeated here today, that we want to become a global hub for pharmaceuticals for the Caribbean. We want to be able to provide the entire CARICOM with pharmaceuticals. And I think um, one of the main reasons for this was obviously with the COVID pandemic. What we would have found is that during the times of the pandemic, many of our cohorts in different parts of the world obviously had to treat with their countries first. So they had to look after their interests first. And then while we were waiting for many of these things to come, the Guyanese population became ill. Some of them died, and so forth. So these are not just a part of our policies for national economic development, but these are a part of our policies for the improving of the quality of life and the social well-being of our people. So understand that in Guyana, and I work with the investment promotion agency, and of course we govern a lot of the fiscal incentives through investment agreements. Understanding that coming into a country where you can not just help to promote economic development, but you can also help to improve the national development objectives. So we want to ensure that our people live longer, happier um, lives, understanding that if that fits into the policy of our country, the incentives are more attractive for you in terms of the investment agreement. So I just want to lay that out there. Looking at some of our baselines, and I'll conclude very shortly, Maura. Looking at some of our baselines as to how we would have assisted some of the private healthcare, especially, and as well as the value-added forestry. So I don't want to go too far into next year because I anticipate that we might have another info session. But just looking at what we would have done for some of the private investors in the healthcare space. We have provided a full suite of concessions, and this includes value-added tax reduction or removal, excise tax removal, and the import duty removal on all construction material, the furnishing material for the building, the equipment to retrofit the building, and this could be the same way for a manufacturing plant coming into our country. So we are very willing. We want you to come in. We want you to invest. We would love to help you find local partners. Our office is available to help you to navigate all of the bureaucratic and red tape, the bureaucratic journey and the red tape. We are able to provide that hand-holding experience I'll be happy to meet you when you come in November, and we're very happy to facilitate this call and to facilitate your investments into Guyana, the fastest growing economy in the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Elliott. And we are going to go quickly to the presentation, to some details of what to look forward on the missions. Like I said, we are going to, although we are looking at the two missions, we are going to concentrate on the health and pharmaceutical because it's the first one. We're going to tell you a little bit of what the Minister of Health has told us are the specific demands of the sectors, how the mission is organized, and logistic details. So we met with the Minister of Health, just like Ambassador Rainet says, and he outlined some of the priorities. Out of those hospitals already mentioned by Mr. Edgil and the ambassador, 4 hospitals are going to be up for tender. Public hospitals are going to be for tender for construction. One of them already started now in September. So it's a very good timing to come to Guyana for those that wants to build the hospital, but also for the ones that have equipment for the hospitals, because the tenders will come after some of those are advanced in the construction stage, but also they are equipping the existing hospitals and buying equipment. And they have told us that they are now focusing on US and EU equipments of high quality. So I think that's an opportunity. Maybe in other markets, we are competing with Chinese and other products, but here they have tried and they now are looking to high quality branded equipment. There's also need for lab equipment and agents, reactive agents, as well for providers in that sector, other type of medical supplies. They're also interested in looking at services, the health sectors, including training. One of the private companies that we spoke to mentioned specifically paramedic training that is needed not just for Guyana, but also throughout the region. Like Mr. Edgil said, Guyana is connected to the Caribbean community, which is a community of 15 countries in the Caribbean, and which has a single market. So in process, but it has a lot of harmonization of procedures, laws, and regulations, and exchange between the countries. So any facility that you establish or any support that you get or any representation that you get in Guyana could also cater to the rest of the Caribbean. There's also identified need for medicines of different type of course, generic medicines are more cost effective, and Europe is also very good at that. And as mentioned both by the ambassador and Mr. Edgil, manufacturing is of pharmaceutical is high in demand, joint venture, and also it's not only the government that wants to do that, but we've spoken to some companies that import and manufacturers, and they are either open to joint ventures. They were thinking about opening their own facilities, but maybe they're opening to work with a European company. So as you can see, there is a wide spectrum of opportunity, and these are the priority. There may be others, but these are the ones that have been highlighted to us. The mission will be from the 26th to the 28th of November. So you will arrive on the 25th. And then on the 26th, we have the opening ceremony, but we also have seminars from public and private sector. Of course, we will hear from the Minister of Health, but probably by other ministers. and people from the sectors. We'll have panels of public and private sector entities, so businesses and the representative of the private sectors in Guyana, telling you about how it is to do business in Guyana. And you also hear from EU companies that are already on the ground, so that they can tell you what they have learned through the process of doing business. On the second day, we will have business-to-business meetings that we will set up for the companies with an individual agenda for each, depending on their priorities and their objectives. And on the last day, we will have field visits, hospitals, but also other sites. It will also depend on the interest of each companies and each sector. So what your companies can expect? You can expect hearing from all the key public sector players, not only ministers, but any directors or any director of agencies that you identify that are key, like, of course, the Investment Office of Guyana, that was mentioned by Mr. Edgel, but it also depends on which area of the health you or the pharmaceutical you want to hear from, and then we can make that happen. Last year we had lunches and breakfasts with high level with ministers and other high level executives, so that the companies, the EU companies, can ask them directly and have that small exchange that is different from the larger meetings in the seminar. So you also have the opportunity to exchange with the private sector of Guyana at all levels. Those connections, those networks are key. You will also receive an explanation of what are the key points that you have to take into consideration of doing business in Guyana, which is also very, very important. And because this is a sectorial mission, you will have it very specific to your sectors. You will also, like I said, hear from the EU companies in Guyana, including the one building the hospital already. You have your own, the companies will have their own individual scheduled B2B. You will have field visits that will be catered to a specific and will be designed. So not everybody will go to every place. It will also be it will depend on what are your priority, which facilities. Let's say if you have a manufacturing company, they may want to visit possible manufacturing facilities that are there, and you will have the support for follow-up of the EU Guyana Chamber of Commerce, which was launched last year during the first mission, and now is in a position to support of EU businesses going forward as well. And then it's important to know, because what is covered, that is also a question that we often get. Companies will have to pay their airfare and their hotels, but most of the meals will be covered. We have all the events, of course, it's not free of charge. The B2B, we will have a reception on the first day, and the field visit, also the transportation of the field visits will also be covered by the EU. The venue is the Marriott Georgetown Hotel, and we have a special rate. It might not look, if you look at 382, that may not look like a special rate, but if you look at rates of the Marriott in Guyana, you will know that it is a very special rate for the companies, and they will have the link open to make reservations but they have to make reservations by the end of October. So there are several airlines that fly to Guyana. Ways that you can come directly with British Airways. You can KLM via Suriname, American Airlines, and other Americans. But you can also go through some of the Caribbean countries, Trinidad, Barbados, Dominican Republic, and these are some of the rates for your companies. They're a few companies that need some permission to go to Guyana. And one important thing we learned from last year, it's very important that they keep in mind that they need a 6-month validity passports. So how can we support you as trade promotion organization in the European Union to help us promote this mission? Well, we have a landing page. We have an interim one that I'll show it to you, but we will have a final one with the video that Javi was trying to launch and other information. We can support you if you want for your members a dedicated info sessions so that they can ask us questions. We can go through that. We can also do that. If you have a sector associations and they want to do that for their members, we can also arrange it. If a company wants to come but has some questions, they can also set up individual appointments either through you or directly through the website. And if you want us to send you material, some of the arts with your logo, we also can be happy to oblige with you. Like I said, we have this. I think I have to get out, show you. An interim page that you can find informations about Global Gateway, about events, some reports on and you can also on Guyana, on the sectors, the agenda, and you can also make an appointment, like I said here. Or you can just subscribe and join the mission. So it can help your companies as well as a tool. So, so we are sharing that with you, and of course you can always contact us. I'm the coordinator of the mission, but from the EU delegation, Ms. Latoya Williams, that is also with us, is also part of that. So you can reach me through email or through WhatsApp, and we will be happy to help you in any way we can. We want to make sure that your best companies are attending the mission. And one thing that I would like to ask is also is very important that your your financing agencies also that supports your companies investing abroad that could also come to the mission, because that's part of the Global Gateway approach. So we are open to any questions that you may have. Any questions, anybody? No questions? Right. So, like I said, we are open to contact you to give you all the support so that you can promote the mission to your members.
Guyana, if I may, many thanks for your presentation, and I think it's very important to have illustrated where the particular needs are for building hospitals and equipment, etc. I just wanted to add that Guyana is a country where so much is happening at the same time. It is almost impossible to be very precise about that. So let me give you one example. Guyana is the country where they are probably most advanced with telemedicine. So they're rolling out a very ambitious telemedicine program, because with 85% of your country covered in forest, you have a lot of communities that are far out there and difficult to reach. So what they have is now equipped their doctors in those little villages with equipment that can be seen, read live by doctors in Georgetown or even the rest of the world. That is a very beautiful system. But sometimes you need to bring medicine quickly to these remote villages. So what they're doing now is they're starting with sending drones. That's absolutely incredible. I'm not sure we even have that in Europe. And so when I talked to the minister about this and he showed me these drones in practice, he said, you know what I would love to do? I would like to make these drones here. That is not super difficult technology. We can build them here. And if we can build them here, government will support that process. First of all, you have a market in Guyana, but there are many countries in the region, especially on the Latin American continent, where this will be very applicable. So I just wanted to make that observation as an illustration that, yes, it is all the issues that you mentioned, and I think those are useful, but if there are companies that want to look at this with a bit more of an adventurous angle, this is the country to go to, and you will meet all kinds of people that are very creative in pushing out ideas like telemedicine, the production of drones, etc. Just to share that with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. Flavi, you want to say
No, I
something?
wanted to see if our members had questions. No, no. So otherwise, really, I wanted to thank you for this very informative session, and it was very interesting to see the program you are putting together for the companies. And as I said, we will be sharing that with our members, and we're happy to support you with your mission, and really we wish you a successful investment mission to Guyana.